So what is that? Oh, that's the
water.
touch the mouth. Oh yeah, we're good. You're on deck, bro.
So we stand up and we do a little affirmation or prayer. Just you don't have to say anything, but we just stand and face east, which is where the sun comes out of. Us being the Son of God. Islam. So the little guy get the little 5 on the left, 2 on the right.
5 on the left.
5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe. Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, to His holy prophet, Noble Jawadi, Islam. Give thanks, man. So we're gonna have we had some audios to listen to today. We'll probably deal with some of it, but we also want to open the floor because we have a lot of other things to deal with. We're just going to read our letters to be proclaimed every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Ali. Islam. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Ali. Wow. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam, this is the instruction from your Prophet Noble Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Ali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, least they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Mobutu Ali. Islam.
I would have lived not with the knowledge that is divine. We must acquire the higher knowledge of life. Black men and black women, will you get the knowledge that the white? But since man has been placed on his own responsibility, whether he be black, white, or yellow, he must act on his own account. We will not unduly whine or complain, but reason among ourselves and see what can be done to remedy this state of affairs. Life is a conflict. You have to fight your way through it, whether you will it or not. Those of us who are able to fight most stubbornly live, accomplish most, and to them go the laurels, the palms, and triumph of our civilization and world. We unfortunately have not been trained nor educated to the truths of life, paradoxically so. May I say something to you to give you a true knowledge of yourself and life, so that the same glory and success attained by other men who understand themselves may be yours. Man in full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. This faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man in lacking the knowledge that man is used to beautify the world and produce all that he needs for his happiness and civilization. Look the world over, and whatever you see in it that is pleasing to man, contributing to man's comfort, to his needs and to his satisfaction, it is but the work of man. Man blessed with the knowledge of himself and the understanding of all things around him. If you are able to live with the knowledge of yourself and with the greater knowledge of nature, you must know what is good and what is not. You must know what is finite. You must know that which is material, physical, and otherwise is at your disposal to create or otherwise use. If we leave America and go over to the east to Japan, they will be telling their fellow citizens of Japan of the wonderful accomplishments of the Japanese people, proving that man is moving onward as time moves on. But you have hated yourselves as you have done in previous years. You have shown malice, prejudice, and hate to each other. And the result is that while other races have made progress, while India has made progress towards nationalism, while Ireland has made progress towards republicanism, while the whole world has made progress in man's accomplishments, you still stand fighting yourselves, dishonoring yourselves, showing no disposition toward that higher life so that you will be abundantly blessed. So reflect and think that you were created for some purpose other than exhibiting malice toward your neighbor or fellow men of your own race. What a pity it is that we cannot stand united without the written law. There is no written law compelling other races to stand together. They are brought together by the gentle touch of nature. The unwritten law of nature causes them to stand together on all occasions. So wheresoever you find them in the field, that one gentle touch of nature causes them to stand together, if need be, die together. But with the black man, you can preach to him from the pulpits. You lecture from the platforms, from the byways and the hedges. The spirit of cooperation, but he will not cooperate. You talk to him gently, you try talking harshly to him, he still will not cooperate. The result is that he falls prey to those who understand themselves and walk through the world making you their serfs and slaves. You must acquire an understanding of yourselves. Look around you. See the smiling pictures of nature, the beautiful hedges, the wonderful mountains, the wonderful vegetation all around. But because of your disposition to each other, you live in suffering, in want, in penury, and in debt. You lack the gentle touch of nature, love for each other. You hate yourselves. Black men, and what is wrong with you? Why have you no affection for yourselves? Could I hope to see you living among yourselves as the people I've spoken of? Living in charity, love, and in sympathy with each other? It can be done. I wonder if you will adapt that course. Isn't it easier to enjoy prosperity than to live in ignorance and darkness? Why select the worst of the nature? Nature never gave pain, suffering, and death to the world. It was man himself who selected death, pain, and sorrow. I wonder if I cannot inspire you to select between good and evil. Let me impress upon you once again that whatsoever your hardships may be, whatsoever your difficulties in life, they are your own selection. And so if you encourage them, if you husband them and take them to your bosom, they will abide with you. Nature will not take them away from you as Mother Nature did not give them to you. She is not responsible for your sorrows. Mother Nature represents all that is beautiful, She gave you the highest personality in the realm divine. Your sorrows are your own. If you want joy, if you want sunshine, it is before you abundantly in nature. I made a selection of sunshine, the beautiful sunshine. I made a selection to laugh with the moon, to laugh with the stars, and sing with the birds of the forest and of the wilderness, to join in the rhythmic music of the winds that sing from east to west and from north to south. Had I selected sorrow, I would have been dead a long time ago and been without that which would send me into the presence of the divine, because I would have lived not with the knowledge that is divine.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Right, so that was the Garvey, Marcus Garvey. And
That is crazy.
just to stress the point of the connection between Marcus Garvey and the Moorish movement. In the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, the last chapter, the end of time and fulfilling of the prophecies. The last prophet in these days is Noble Juali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days, to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days, there came a forerunner that was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Juali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own and be one with their Father God Allah. So we're going to listen to a couple more of those, but part of the divine connection with the Moorish movement is, for example, me just cleaning up this morning and playing this. Figured, okay, I'm going to play this for the Moors today at class or whatever. And on top of him stressing the exact same things that Noble Juali was stressing, he also was talking about Moors and their disrespect for one another and not looking at each other as brother and sister, and from the perspective of not taking that position of taking advantage of your brother or sister. And then the Moors walked in today that were victim to our friends in Brampton.
Not our friends.
Right? Who were on this side, were in this, and then took the position of they don't want anything to do with us. They're gonna go out there, do their own thing. And then now that they're doing their own thing, we're realizing that over the past 4 or 5 years that they've been in direct violation of the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation, which those people are claiming to be part of. So the covenant of the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation reads, "Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other." Now, we've been exercising as Moorish Science Temple of America since 2008, going through the city, doing whatever it is that we do to get the people involved in this ideal that, you know, there was this man by the name of Noble Juali who came in the 1913 teaching this message, and the message was that we have a nationality and we've been taken outside of being in a national capacity by thinking that we're things that we're not. Two, that once we get this information, we have an obligation to deal with our brother and sisters so that they know about this information as well. And not from the perspective like the church does it, or not the perspective like the mosque does it, or the whatever. We have our own way of administering this information to the people. And the best way to do that is based on the 5 principles, which is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And Noble Drew Ali's message to the Moors that we have to learn to love instead of hate. So as we've gone over the years, there's been many people to come through these doors, and there's been many people to leave. There's many people who have come in here, and when they left, they took things that they got here and went out there and did their own thing with it. In complete violation of what the purpose of this is. And the purpose of this is to get our people back into the constitutional fold so they can have their culture back, so they can have their religion back, so that, like what Marcus Garvey talked about, we can have that respect back from other people, we can have the dignity back from other people, and that we're not looked at as, you know, these savages or these dishonorable people that whatever. And unfortunately, there's people who have taken what it is that Noble Drew Ali's brought and corrupted it to the point where majority of people don't even want anything to do with Moors right now. When they hear Moors, they start thinking about people getting arrested and corruption and how come the temples did and how come this Moor did, and I was watching something with this Moor, when all those things have nothing to do with what this is about. Right? Brother Omar, you had a
I was mentioning certain things like culture and dignity. I thought one of the things that should be relevant to all of us here are our rights and our connection back to the truth of things. So yes, that's all covered in that, and I think also one of the things that's most important are our rights, the rights that we should be given, that are ours. So I just want to add that.
And also that those rights, according to Noble Drew Ali, come with us at birth. So if we're 20, 30, 40, 50, and we don't have this information about our nationality and our birthrights, then from birth we've been denied our rights.
And then on top of that, the realization of your rights doesn't come at a cost. So to realize that you're an American, whether they say you're in Canada or not, because this is North America. And the islands, all of those islands are the Americas, all of them. Ergo, this land is your land too. I was thinking about this. When I'm in Trinidad, because I come from there, Tobago is part of that. I don't have to have another passport to go to Trinidad. If there's any other smaller islands there, I don't go to another jurisdiction. So it's exactly the same thing here. And that comes at no cost. But anyone putting a cost on that, especially our own brother,
Criminal.
is a criminal. And that's treasonous activity. And that is where certain people came into this. And rather than taking this for what this was to pass on to each other, they took and realized that they can take advantage of people. So this is why we're here. Continue to be here.
We must acquire the higher knowledge of life. Black men and black women, will you get the knowledge that the white man has that causes him to be leaders and masters in the world? They are not gods with a peculiar source for understanding the world around them. They have only given expression to the knowledge of their humanity and been able to use and conquer all to their satisfaction and glory. And that is why they are always greater than you in every community that you find them. Isn't it strange that wheresoever the white man is found, he takes precedence over you? Why is that so? Answer that for yourselves, black men and black women. Wheresoever you come in contact with the white man, you always have to go down in defeat before him. Whether it be in England, in France, or in America, you always have to go down to the white man, and yet he has 2 eyes, 2 feet, 2 hands, same passions, same senses and feelings as you have. Your feet are not put on opposite sides, now your hands turned around the other way. But it's because you fail to use your will, your knowledge, and your mental faculty to the point where you will enjoy life around you. I'm only here and not in the gutters and in the pond of despair because I use my intelligence. And I swear that no man alive shall ever use his intelligence in understanding the works of nature more than I. I shall rise as high as he ascends. I shall meet him on the same platform of mental equality and fight him till thy kingdom come because nature created us equal. I want you to make up your minds as I made up my mind years ago. Make up your mind that you will rise to the knowledge of your soul. Because of your ignorance, you cannot understand and decide between good and evil. You don't know whether you're doing right or wrong. With a greater knowledge of life, you're able to appreciate all things around you. I'm able to gather you here because I understand you. Understand your neighbor, your wife, your children, and you will be able to live in harmony with each other and get the best of the life. The early Africans were able to be the fathers of our civilization because they persevered in their object. When we hear the civilization of the Alexandrias, of the Timbuktus, the creation of the black man in the early ages, do we realize that the civilization we now enjoy was handed down to the present century? But the black man went back to sleep and is still sleeping. We are trying to awaken you to the true consciousness of yourselves. You young black men, you young black women, may we not appeal to you knowing you as we do. To turn over a new leaf, rejecting the ignorance, the foolishness, the childishness that has been your part for these many years. We've looked into your faces, you growing manhood, the rising generation, and no serious thought can we see registered on your countenance but the thought of vulgarity. I've been in your presence and my heart bleeds for you, the conduct you reflect. I've listened to your dirty language used to express yourselves when you could have expressed yourselves in good form. Can I appeal to the black manhood to turn over a new leaf? I'm ashamed of my black manhood. And what I said to the black man, I also said to the black women. Your conduct is disgraceful. Young women whose personality spells respectability, at the least provocation, the filthy words they utter would almost make you turn and run away from them.
The government of the United States.
Right, so again, the message that Noble Drew Ali presented to us also included that we're not Negro, black, or colored. So in going back and listening to Marcus Garvey and reading certain people's speeches or whatever, don't get caught up in, because we're Moors and we say we're not Negro, black, colored, and you might hear these people say that you missed the message of what's being presented, right? Another chapter in the Quran, the holy instructions of unity. Now, Marcus Garvey made the point of stressing that we have to understand each other in order for us to have some type of unity, right? Everybody else, whether we look at Europeans or whether we look at East Asians or whatever, they have their nationality. Nothing separates them like how we're separated over menial things that mean nothing. When we look at the Sikhs out here, when it's time for them to do their whatever, all of them put on their turban or tie their head with something, and all of them have one flag and they all represent one thing. When it comes to our people, it's time for something. These guys have one flag over here. Those guys have a flag over there. It's different from these guys. These guys have a religion that's different from them. And then everybody is thinking that that's unity because we all went to the barbecue together. That's not unity. Unity is having a nationality and having national principles. And again, once people start violating the principles, that lets us know where it is that they're at. And that we should probably have less and less to do with those people just for the simple fact that they violate certain principles. Holy instructions of unity. The gifts of understanding are the treasures of Allah, and He appointed every one his portion in what measure seemeth good unto himself. Hath He endowed thee with wisdom? Hath He enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction. Communicate it to the wise for thy own improvement. True wisdom is less presumed than folly. These wise men doubteth often and changeth his mind. The fool is obstinate. and doubteth not. He knoweth all things but his own ignorance. The pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is the foolishness of folly. Nevertheless, it is the part of wisdom to hear with patience their impertinence, and to pity their absurdity. Yet be not puffed up in thine own conceit, neither boast of superior understanding. The clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly. The wise man feeleth his imperfections and is humble. He laboreth in vain for his own approbation, but the fool peepeth in the shallow stream of his own mind, and is pleased with the pebbles which he seeth at the bottom. He bringeth them up, and show them as pearls, and with the applause of his brethren delighteth himself. He boasteth of attainments in things that are of no worth, but where there is a shame to be ignorant, there he has no understanding. Even in the path of wisdom he toileth after folly, and shame and disappointment are the reward of his labor. But the wise man cultivates his mind with knowledge. The improvements of arts is his delight, and their unity to the public crowneth with honor. Nevertheless, the attainment of virtue he accounteth as the highest learning, and the science of happiness is the study of his life. So the concept of us coming into this information is not to get a card or to get a paper or to get these things that are extensions of our mindset. The actual purpose of us being in this is for us to get the understanding of Allah, because that's really the true wisdom. The true knowledge is of ourselves, not of the things out there that we think are important. And once we embrace the fact that it's knowledge of self that's going to save us, then we wouldn't get into situations where there's individuals who are using ignorance as a means to get off on people, because this is what people are doing in this day and time. Like nobody's really, like we read in the beginning, in the reading, that every evil spirit is moving, and every weak mind is being tried by all these evil spirits. When we talk about evil spirits, we're not talking about some invisible beings. We're talking about people who look just like us. People who we would consider our brother and sister. And when we approach them with certain things, and they are conniving, and they're liars, and they're not trustworthy, that is them showing the evil spirit within them. And us being victim to certain things shows the lack of knowledge that we even have. That's why we tell people that when you get into this information, and especially new Moors, even Moors who've been in this for a little while, when you get something from somebody else, make sure you fact check their stuff. Back when we were coming into this information, there wasn't this broad spectrum of evil spirits or dirty people or whatever like that call themselves Moors like we see today. When we came in here, there was only scholars, and the only way that you're getting any information is if you go to the lecture yourself and sit at the foot of the master, or you go to the library and study. That's how you got information 2006, 2007, 2008, when we were coming into this. Now, you just go on YouTube, type up Moors, 50 people will come up that claim that they're some grand whatever of some Moorish whatever. And you push play and you can watch them for 3 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours. You could go pay to go to their classes that they do online or whatever, and they're not teaching you anything about this. That's worth your time. Because guaranteed, as soon as they say class time, they're going to be telling you about 100, 500, 600, 800, 1,000 or whatever, to just sit down and listen to them talk. And that's it. 500 for that? You might as well take that 500, go to school, go learn a trade or something like that, opposed to listen to these people. And again, you know, it's like the saying, evil people get away because good people sit around and do nothing. And there's been ample amounts of people between when we came into this and now that they saw that this was a problem and they decided to say, you know what, I don't want nothing to do with this because this is just crazy. There's not enough good people out here to even say, let's go teach or let's go learn. That's why when we put out who to go to, it's always the same people. And people always get, why you just keep promoting them? Because those are the ones who are the ones. Ain't nobody else to go to. Let me say, you know, RV Bay Publications. When we say Taj Tariq Bay, when we say, you know, there are even people who are not around anymore, C. Freeman L., Hakeem Bay, people who you don't even see in the public anymore. But their information is still out there. This is where you go. And again, once you fact check these people, you'll realize whether they're legit or whether they're talking BS. Because everybody's information could get fact checked. Nobody has some superior knowledge than you that they're going to say something and you're not going to be able to go, whether it's online, library, whatever, do some research and, oh, damn, he just said that. That's not right. That information that he's saying not right. And then opposed to people finding out that these people are charlatans or whatever and doing something about it, people usually say, you know what, I don't want nothing to do with this, and they throw away their birthright. Right? There's the other part of this is dealing with Marcus Garvey's trial that he had. And he's being interviewed as to how come he went to jail and how come he got charged with mail fraud or whatever like that. And again, going back to that same thing, that we could look at the quote unquote white man as the enemy and all that stuff all we want. The real enemy is our own people. The real devil looks just like us. And their intentions are to keep whoever in power right now in power and keep us in this subservient servitude, slave to somebody position for as long as they can, because that's how they get off. They get off by keeping us in darkness. And again, we look at Marcus Garvey as the forerunner of the Moorish movement because, you know, like Brother Omar was saying, you know, this is something that we should play all the time. Why? Because the energy in his speech is what the whole point of him being the forerunner is, to stir up the nations of the people to wake the hell up. He even said it himself. People are sleeping, still sleeping. This was 1920s. He's talking like this. And we're 2019 now. People still sleep. But they say they honor Marcus Garvey and they honor Malcolm X and they honor Martin Luther and they honor all these people who we say that we honor and we give respect to or whatever. But they're not taking anything that they said and applying it. Only people that's doing that are Moors. Because nothing that any of these people say mean anything if you don't have a nationality first. You could talk about whatever you want to talk about. You could talk about whatever type of freedom you think that you're going to get. If we're not talking about we have a nationality, we have rights. Now let's start talking about solving some problems. Problems not going to be solved. So the so we want to get to answering some questions. The interview is called Interview with Marcus Garvey. It's on YouTube. It's uploaded by the Blackest Panther. It's about 41 minutes. We're going to listen to a little bit of this interview because he touches on some important things, and then we'll open up for questions.
Along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Director, J. Edgar Hoover, accused Marcus Garvey of using the U.S. Navy to...
After 11 hours of deliberations, the jury was called in by the eminent Jewish jurist Judge Mack and given a second set of instructions without their request. The gist of it was that if they had come back with a not guilty or hung jury, to remember the expense in which the government would be put. The public would have lost time. The court, the jury, and the witness have to go through the entire exercise again. They went back into the jury room and 30 minutes later came back with a verdict. Justice is greater than the law. If justice was not included in the law, then the law would be of no use to us as human beings. What I was concerned with was the truth. I asked no mercy. I asked no sympathy. I asked for justice based on the evidence given in the courtroom. I later found out that the judge wanted to speed things up because he had an appointment with the International Zionist Convention in Chicago. It was also due to the fact that I had acquired my first set of papers for naturalization. In my closing statement, I told those 12 men that they were to judge a man by the testimony, by what had been brought into the case, by their judgment of what is wrong and what is right. You may condemn the body, but not the soul. It is not in their power to condemn the body. God condemns the soul. Judge me, and God will judge you for judging Marcus Garvey. The trial took 5.5 weeks, and every day I had a fight with the district attorney. As we went along, I realized it was impossible for me to escape the traps that were being laid out by the press, rival organizations, personal enemies, foreign governments who were interested in me being convicted. No one, not even the absent attorney, could have fought for me as I fought for myself, because he would have been risking the friendship and goodwill of the powerful influences that were aligned against me. There were several witnesses brought in by the government who probably because of a bribe would say anything the prosecutors told them to. For instance, Edgar Gray, a man with a super abundance of intelligence, could not say where he was really from. He claimed he was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa. That man was a coconut born in Antigua. Super abundance of intelligence, could not say where he was really from. He claimed he was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa. That man was a coconut born in Antigua. Gray disappeared from the UNIA with funds for the organization, which he handled in my absence and for whom a warrant is out for his arrest. There was also Leo Healy. I regarded him as a friend. The very morning when he came in to testify, I met him outside, shook his hand, not knowing that he was there to testify against me. And he said I was a good man, then I was bad because I did not pay him the bills of the Black Star Line. Garvey was not the Black Star Line. We were not asking his opinion of the Star Line. We were asking his opinion of Marcus Garvey. He said, understand that he believed that I was a member of the Ku Klux Klan. Now he knows there ain't no black man of member of the KKK. Well, when we placed Mrs. Lawson on the witness stand, she wore dark glasses, obviously, to observe the movements of her eyes and her line of stare as she tried to communicate with the prosecutor. During cross-examination, we asked her to show her subpoena. As she fumbled around and looked at the district attorney, lowering her head, waiting for his approval. She said she bought stock in 1917, even though the Black Star Line never sold stock in 1917. It was not in existence then. She claimed to be sick, as were two other witnesses who were able to make a quick $30 in the 5 minutes they spent on the stand. Prosecutor wanted to appeal to the sympathy of that jury. A young man named Garvey admitted on the stand to the dismay and disgust of the prosecutor that he was told what to say concerning the circulars and letters supposedly brought in as evidence in the case. Folks tried to misrepresent me and say that I do not like white people. Some of my best friends are white. The bishop, who was my friend since my youthful days, testified. When I asked him of his opinion of Marcus Garvey, he said, doubtful. They didn't understand what he meant. I was a public man. Opinions differ. Surely some men are doubtful of me and some are not. He didn't say that Garvey was doubtful. When I asked him for his personal opinion, the question was objected to and sustained by the judge, claiming that it was an improper question. There were some white-controlled newspapers who felt that I was railroaded. I remember one of them stated that my troubles began when I stepped on the toes of France and Great Britain, and that it was a very grave question whether justice had been in my case. After I was found guilty, they released me on $25,000 bail pending the hearing of the appeal. And while waiting, I found the Black Cross Navigation and Trading Company, business enterprises which comprised the Negro Factories Corporation, the Black Eagles Flying Corps, dress and millinery shops, a publishing company and printing plant, a phonograph company, a restaurant, laundries, a black doll factory, a hotel, a chain of grocery stores, and the Royal African Motor Corps, a fleet of moving vans. I was in Detroit when the mandate was handed down. Having received the telegram to return immediately, I got on the first train leaving for New York. When I arrived, I was brutally seized by heavily armed men and pulled from a Pullman car at the 125th Street station and taken to the Tombs prison. But there are certain people who do not like me because I am black. They do not like me because I was not born in the United States. Some Irish slave master gave my great-great-grandfather's name. Garvey is not an African name, it's Irish. Garcia is not African, nor is Thompson or Johnston. They were inherited from our slave masters, English, French, Irish, or Scotch. If I was born in Jamaica, it was no fault of mine. It was because the slave ship which took me to Jamaica did not go to American ports, and that is how some Negroes in America were not born in the West Indies.
Mr. Garvey, why would you want to stand up to a great republic like America?
We're not fighting America. We're not fighting this great government.
Then what are you doing?
We're fighting hypocrisy and lies. And this we're going to fight until the bitter end.
Fearful of being deported?
There's no federal law whereby I could be processed against on the grounds of being an undesirable from the point of view of deportation.
Yes, there is. Under Section 19 of the Act to regulate the immigration of aliens to and their residents in the U.S.
I arrived in this country on March 23, 1916. Today is June 18, 1923. That law still has not been enacted.
But the NAACP says, and I quote, Garvey must go.
Which is why J. Edgar Hoover has trumped up these charges against me.
Do you think it was a good idea to fire your attorney?
Yes.
Do you think that representing yourself could backfire on you?
No, I do not.
Why not?
The Constitution allows every man the privilege to defend themselves, to prove his innocence before an American court of justice, and so I decided to do so irrespective of being a lawyer.
District Attorney Matlock asked the jury, quote, gentlemen, will you let the tiger loose? What's your reaction?
Guilty men are afraid of jail. I'm as much at home in jail for the cause of human rights as I am in my drawing room.
Well, what did you think of Mr. Dancy's testimony?
Mr. Dancy was used by this government to testify against me. You heard him when the prosecutor asked him whether any of the letters were from the Black Star Line.
He couldn't remember.
He couldn't remember. Mr. Dancy can't read. My life is at stake and he couldn't remember. What happened in that courtroom was a charade. You all know he was just lying through his teeth.
For a foreigner, why are you making all these waves? Even George Harris, editor of the New York News, a colored newspaper published in Harlem, referred to you as an alien.
An alien is one who enters a country on his own account without any invitation and who domiciles himself in that portion of the country because of his own desire.
Isn't that exactly what you do?
Fathers. But against my will, by stubborn protest, somebody seized me and brought me here from my silent repose in Africa 300 years ago.
When they get rid of you, then what?
This is only the first Marcus Garvey. There will be other cubs in the fold.
You met with Edward Young Clark, the acting imperial wizard of the Ku Klux Klan?
Yes.
What was that meeting like?
It was rather cordial. He made it clear that they are interpreting the true spirit of every true American.
What is the attitude of the Klan towards a Negro who desires to be, say, President of the United States?
That he shall never be as long as there is one white man living in this country.
But isn't America a white man's country?
Yes, it is a white man's country because he conquered the Indian, exterminated him, and took possession of his property. I say the KKK is the invisible government of the United States.
So again, the interview is called Interview with Marcus Garvey, and it's on YouTube under the channel The Blackest Panther. So some things that stood out. Remember that with the Moors, our 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Marcus Garvey making the statement that justice is greater than the law. Right? That justice is greater than the law. Right? And then keep in mind that justice is also representative of Ma'at, who is the lady holding the scales of justice. Right? Naturalization papers. So Marcus Garvey was in the process of being naturalized, which is part of the issue with him, why they were able to do certain things. Because by him not being naturalized, that's implying that he was a foreigner. But the reality of it is that because he was in his own land, he was Aboriginal and Indigenous, right? All he had to do was proclaim his nationality. All he had to do was declare his nationality, right? Now, in Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, in the book Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, page 268, Marcus Garvey made a statement in the book. Marcus Garvey made a statement in the book that the Negro is going to be happy once the Negro accepts his true nationality. That was written to the letter. That was written in the letter to the Garveyites that was sent by Marcus Garvey to be distributed amongst the Garveyites. What's not talked about also is that Noble Drew Ali visited Marcus Garvey while he was in Atlanta prison. And this is where this transition of the forerunner and the prophet being together and working together and making sure that they take their two movements and put them together so that we can have everything that we're supposed to have. Garvey just talked about him having all these different businesses. Right now, if he had all those things going on, and then on the other side, Noble Drew Ali had all these businesses going on, when these two organizations came together, what would have happened in the 1920s?
Industriousness.
Right? Automatic. It would have been over for anybody else that was in this land, which is what Europeans knew, which is why they had their little agents set Marcus Garvey up so that they can get him out of circulation. And then while they were doing that, they had their agents on the Morris side assassinate Noble Drew Ali. And then because of the lack of studying of the people, because of the lack of the people knowing themselves, once they got rid of those people, then everything just fell to the wayside.
The setup was kidnapping him, and also was the process for naturalization.
Well, the process of naturalization was his ignorance in thinking that to be a citizen, you do that. Right? When he's, like he said, I'm from Jamaica. So if you're from Jamaica, that's in America, then you're Aboriginal. Right? If you created the he goes on later in the speech to talk about the Black Star Line not being created to go take anybody back to Africa, because we need people here to do things. So he wasn't absent-minded of things having to be done here. The whole point of the Black Star Line was to build that relationship with the continent so that we can do trade with each other over here and over there. Because again, without having the national mindset, the idea of go to Africa to do trade or whatever like that, but we don't have a national mindset, it's not going to work anyways. Because they're not going to let a Negro have a company that's going to be doing that when they can just go to the European and get whatever they want like they're supposed to, like good slaves.
That's international.
Because it's international, right? So when and it's even in philosophies and opinions or whatever, when they're talking about the case and they talk about United States defendant in error, United States defendant in error, and Marcus Garvey defendant in error, United States plaintiff in error. Because the error is that he thinks that he has rights like Dred Scott, when he admitted that Garvey is an Irish name. So if Garvey's an Irish name, then that means
He's not a proper
the
person.
Irish people are the ones who have jurisdiction over him. He doesn't have jurisdiction over himself. But they're not going to allow certain things to be expressed. So when you said, for example, that he fired his attorney because he has a constitutional right to defend himself, he doesn't need an attorney. Yes, that stands, but that doesn't really stand if your name's Garvey. Because Garvey means that you're a ward of the Irish. So you really don't have that constitutional right. You have 14th Amendment. You have
Colored rights.
a colored right. That doesn't really give you the power to say defend myself. But we already know that we're going to railroad you. So hey, do your thing. You know what I mean? We'll just sit back and just wait for the railroad to happen. Because they also know that anybody else who is riding with Marcus Garvey is either white newspapers or whatever, who they're already colonists, they already got their stuff locked down, so it's not a threat if they support him. You know what I mean? Other Europeans aren't going to be like, well, let's trump up some charges on these European newspapers because they're riding with Marcus Garvey. Yeah, because they already know that the people that he came for were the people who look just like him, that they already bought off. Speaking of, NAACP and all these different black organizations around that time that were fighting him. The brother who he seen him outside, shook his hand or whatever, he goes in court, and then this guy's testifying against him. And that's supposed to be his brother or whatever, right? They put some things were said which speak about today. Wearing dark glasses wearing dark glasses on the side so nobody could see her eyes and see what she's looking at in the court and all that stuff. That's the same stuff that a lot of these YouTube people do today. The stuff that rapper guy does today. Get on camera, have glasses on so you don't know because eyes are the windows to the soul. So by making eye contact with somebody, you can know exactly where it is that they're at. Whether they're a liar, whether they're kind-hearted, whatever, just by eye contact. So when you go on these little videos or whatever, and you see these individuals that say that they're the teachers of whatever, they got dark glasses on, whatever, for 2 hours, and they're inside and all that stuff, some stuff should be turning in your head, something's wrong here. Why is this guy wearing dakas inside? Right? And they're supposed to be teaching or whatever. Right? We are not fighting America. Right? Him saying this. We are not fighting America. We're fighting against lies, and we're fighting against corruption, and we're fighting against the things that make people think that America, hypocrisy, will make people think that, oh, America did the same thing like when people say the white man did something or whatever. We're not fighting against that. That's not really what the fight is. The fight is against the things that make the place look bad. Right? And KKK, the invisible government of the United States. Right? This term is stuff they talk about today. Conspiracy theorist guys or whatever, they don't give honors to Marcus Garvey, but they talk about invisible government today. Shadow government. Because if you're talking about the invisible government, then you might as well take that out because they're not a government if it's shadow. If it's pretending to be government, it's not government. Stop calling it that. But they'll keep doing that. And once they keep doing that, no different than we were talking about the other night with our people calling the European white man, and then they give them the sovereign power, which comes with being white. And then they get mad when people violate or abuse that power. Well, if you just gave it to them, you can't complain now, because that's abandonment. And once you abandon it, obviously you had no intentions of having it in the first place. If you drop your 500 and somebody says, hey, you drop 500 and you don't, whatever, and you keep walking, obviously you don't want the 500. So don't get mad when somebody picks it up and does whatever they want with it, right? Anybody else have any comments with regard to the Garvey speech?
Do we have many speeches from Garvey after his meeting with Raleigh?
No, that's probably one of them right there, because that actually, that was before he went to Tombs prison. After, I think there's only letters. There's only letters that he wrote from prison. As far as speeches, who knows?
It's too dangerous to have him speak.
Because that's how he's talking. Then that's a problem for the establishment, to have this individual talking with that type of frequency to people who need that type of talking. Right? We don't need the church talking. We need that type of talking. And again, that was 1920s. So what type of talking we need today if we didn't listen to that?
It's like that.
Right? Yeah, that's like the Boondocks one when Martin Luther came back and cussed everybody.
You learn some of that skill too from the church.
Yeah.
Learn how to talk.
Learn how to talk to the crowd, right? How to be an orator, right? So once again, we embarked on individuals who have been victim to Morehouse lawyers, Cameron Bay and others who, again, came out of this, took what it is that we were here that was de jour and that was pure and corrupted it, and now they're out there with it, exercising it from a corrupt position. The brother showed me some of the papers that they had, and one of the things they're doing is that they're having everybody do paperwork, and they have everybody writing their free national name in lowercase form. It's on the nationality paperwork that they do. It's on the cards that they do. This is how they teach that this is how you're supposed to write it, right? Now this is an error because we're in the jurisdiction where English is spoken, so the rules of grammar have to apply. Now, if we're talking about the rules of grammar and you're talking about a name, right? It's capitalized. First letter, capital, everything else common. Middle name, first letter capital, everything else common. Last name, first letter capital, everything else common.
So the statement where they say, I can write your name or print your name in all caps, or using caps. It makes it a corporate word that you say that's false.
So print your name is that's print, right? That's right. That's why all the forms that you get, they tell you print. Because all the forms telling you print is because all they can deal with is artificial people. because the person who gave you the form is probably artificial. It might be a court, it might be a job, it might be a corporation, it might be whatever, but it's a court. That's why, for example, when you look at licenses, passports, all those different instruments, it's always written in all caps. That's just how they do it, right? So, go ahead, Mark.
Sorry, you're not filling in why they're doing it like that way?
Yeah, we're going there. Well, you go ahead.
No, just from the perspective that whenever they're altering any of these things from what it should be, they're creating different little pockets. So you can see like when it's all small things, small case, and that's really representing, from my perspective, the corporation.
Right.
Right? Because the small p, when we're talking about persons, in law there are two persons. There's the person, you, the individual, then there's the person, a corporation. The person, the corporation, in the dictionary is spelled a small p. That's how you can differentiate between being a corporation or the actual physical body. So what they've done is they found another way to get you into a different jurisdiction that's not the true jurisdiction. So that's why they didn't mess with the first letter of your name. And then on the opposite way, the true de jure way in the so-called, in this area, to be a corporation is everything capital. So that's why on their driver's license, it's all in capital. That's why on their passports, it's all in capital. Because that's the way that they're doing it here. That's not you, that's them, that's theirs. And if you ever notice I just had some issues, they take their property back. That's their property. That so-called instrument. So that's some of the stuff. That's what he has done by taking you out of the jurisdiction of the so-called English area, so-called here, connotatively. He's done that by making your first letter a small case, because that's not grammatically correct. Ergo, it's an error. Ergo, then it doesn't have any life.
I noticed, I don't know how long it was, but I noticed that it's only the health card that says on the back property administration, but the license used to say property administration.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't say that.
Used to say what?
It used to say property administration. When you look at the green health card, you flip it over. Somewhere near, like it says right there, you read it, property of administration.
No,
And
part of that
it used to
could
say
be,
that.
part of it could be because remember that they transferred all of that Ministry of Transportation up to Service Canada now. So now they're gonna have to go rewrite everybody's thing saying property of Service Canada now.
But where it says that is it says that in a piece of paper.
Oh, on the when you
When you sign the
when you get it in the mail.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure on a piece of paper.
Oh, okay. So
that their license is
right. Attached to,
When you read the back of that, it tells you it's their property.
I'm pretty sure they also probably took it off the card just because they want you to claim it as yours.
Right. Yeah.
But then already, watch this. This is what's crazy because I've just been through some of the circumstances. They're telling you it's a privilege. The actual act of driving, corporate activity, is a privilege.
Yeah.
Ergo, then well, whose privilege is it? It's their privilege that they're giving to you.
Yeah.
Therefore, they can take it back.
Exactly. Recently, I went to tribunal and the prosecutor asked me what my true national name was. So I put it there on the record, and he was like, "Oh, how do you spell that?" And whatnot. And so I spelled it for him, and I didn't put it. I didn't tell him lowercase or capital anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that'll be something to do.
To make sure
that that's how that day.
First letter capital.
First letter capital K. Second letter common. Middle name. First letter capital. Last name. First letter capital.
Another thing is that I felt like they really pulled one on me when they asked me to go with the prosecutor to the people who arranged the trial date. And there's like a woman there who's got a calendar and computer, and then she's like checking with the prosecutor and myself if the days coincide, if they're good. And like, I think I'm aware that the first one to leave the courtroom loses, for example. And so, I felt like when I left the room and then I came back with the prosecutor, I know that they were all there speaking about me and whatever they were discussing, and not to mention I need glasses, but I think it was either before I left or when I came back. There's two people. There's like three desks. There's two people sitting at one that's facing the bench or whatever, and then there's another where the recorder, some guy, and another guy who's hearing that's facing the people, and then the justice of peace or whatever.
Right.
So at the first desk that was facing their back was to me, I could see that she had the printed copy or scanned copy of the written that I sent her, and then after she was scrolling through information where I see Noble Drew Ali there, like you could see him there, and then so people in the courtroom, whatever, them there, they were just like trying to drop as much information as they could and whatever. So I noticed that when I came back after they must have been deliberating and discussing, the justice of peace was like, "Oh, sorry, I just want to understand as much as possible. Like, I just want to get this straight. You said you're a Moorish sovereign citizen?" And so like that was what confirmed to me that they were like plotting and scheming.
Right.
What did you say?
I said, of course not. I said I'm a Moorish American national. I said, sovereign citizen is an oxymoron, right? They were contradicting.
That was the prime time for you to ask him about. Where did you get that information? That was the perfect time. Sometimes you gotta know to ask them too.
Because I didn't even think I used the word sovereign. You know,
That's why. Where you get that from?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Where you get that from? Where you get that word from? There's nowhere in my paper I present that to you. Where you get that from? Sounds like something that well, where you get it? Okay. You gotta talk to him.
and then he was acting like he wasn't aware of
Let's say active.
Canada corporations. And then I also realized when I said something, I basically said that the Queen relinquished her jurisdiction, but I realized that maybe the way I put it wasn't necessarily true, right? Because jurisdiction is the right word. So to say that, he was like, "Oh, you can take that up with the Queen when you go to England." And at first at the time, I didn't realize exactly why he said that, but he said that because jurisdiction is the right word. So when you're gonna talk about somebody's jurisdiction, like you have to hear it from them. It has to come from them if it's the right word or not. Unless they said to the contrary, like their jurisdiction is, "Oh, I'm not the head of the state of Canada," because that's when you say, "Oh, head of the state of Canada," and he's like, "Are you bringing up any Charter of Rights issues?" And because the Charter of Rights is the supreme law of the land. I didn't tell him like when I came back, I told him, I said the Constitution for the United States of America is supreme law of the land, right? So we're not in America.
Yeah, part of that too is that we learned from Brother Lanre's trial that challenging the Charter of Rights or you claiming that they're violating your charter rights would allow them to take it to a different venue. So when they bring up a charter issue, let's say charter rights, our mindset is, that's not sweet law, that comes from the act or whatever like that. But the fact that they're bringing it up means that they're acknowledging something with regard to the status of you being there. So, any type of race discrimination, religion discrimination, nationality discrimination, all those things are in even though that it's a corporate document, they're saying certain things in the document without being clear. So by bringing up those things, that's how Lanre was, because Lanre's argument was that, well, because I gave him a nationality card and they're trying to tell me I need a license, they're violating my charter rights of being able to identify myself. And then the judge went with it. That, they actually are violating. You guys need to get off the court floor, go to the back room, which is the same thing what they were doing with you, with the prosecutor leaving the courtroom and all that, to go have an in chambers or an off court, deliberation to see if anything could be resolved, without them doing it on the floor where everybody could see and hear the conversation and maybe pick up things that they could use in their thing.
I don't think I found that word in Black, so I'm not sure I found it.
Which one was that?
Because she was like, I basically said that I wanted the charge to be dismissed. And so that showed my lack of knowledge, where the prosecutor then said, well, we wouldn't be dismissing, we'd be withdrawing. But I mean, due to the fact that I didn't use the proper terminology or jurisdiction, you said, okay, trial. Due to the fact, not due to the fact, but
Yeah.
just the fact that
The fact that you didn't say the right
words
words.
and say, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not going to withdraw.
Right. Yeah, but then also too, remember that there's always the appeal process too. That even if they do adjudicate and find you guilty or whatever, that you still appeal it. And then you bring that up then. Oh yeah, sorry, I said dismiss, I meant withdraw. So you're gonna withdraw this? Since now I know the language. And then see where it goes. But Omar.
Well, just to make it clear to you, there's probably no way that they're withdrawing, dismissing anything at this level. You just got into the game. You're going to be found more than likely, you're going to be found guilty. It's in the appeals that it happens, because the first level, the primary level, is the fraud level to begin with. Even though the secondary level and the third level is the fraud, that first level is like that's the entry game. You're in it. And they're going to find you guilty. They're going to kick you out for not listening to them, which is what they've been trying to do, bullying them. Contempt, or they're going to say that you have done something to sort of to stand up to the so-called judge. Then they're going to ex parte the case once you're out of the room.
Because this was the first time where the magistrate or whatever came in the room, and then it was the woman that was there who was sitting at the middle bench. I don't know what she was doing, but she was in the middle of two guys, a Hispanic guy on her right and another that European dude on her left, and he seemed like he was nervous, so she's telling him whatever. And so the magistrate was in the room there. When he came in, she's like, "Oh, all rise." And I already told my empress, like, "No stand, none of that." And so then she kicked it up. She's like, "All rise, excuse me, you there?" And we're the only ones in the I remember whatever. And so then she stood up or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, and put your phones away," because I was in my phone like this. I was looking at street mars and all that. And then I was like, "Oh, my phone." And then I put my phone down there, and I just kept saying it because I wasn't understanding. It's like, what are they gonna do? Try to kick me out of the tribunal or something like? And so I know, like the magistrate didn't say.
You could tell them your phone with your notes. The so-called lawyers out there with their notes. Every time you talk, you go on your phone. I agree. Okay, we agree with that date. Your notes should be used. So
I just know that was a tactic. She thought that she was going to catch us off guard, so she caught my empress off guard, and she upped her tone and everything, tried to be intimidating. And so that's what that was about. And she thought she was going to see something happen where she wanted.
And that's usually where they go. Once they they had more of had situations of, for example, have court in the winter, just them in their AC on. Go to courtroom and the bailiff is in there with the cuffs, just standing next to the mortar, tick 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 tick, just playing with the cuffs. Having more than one bailiff, right? The whole threatening, coercion thing, try to make you be off what you're in there for, because they know that once they get you off what you're in there for, then there's probably going to be some assuming of jurisdiction on their part that you're going to go with. Like for example, with there was a thing where Moore went to court, and this was maybe like the 5th or 6th time that they went to court or whatever, and the judge said, "Okay, I'm just asking this one question, and this question is going to be whether we go ahead further or whether I dismiss this right now. Right? Where do you live, or do you live in the state of whatever?" They're like, "No, I don't live in the state of whatever. Okay, fine, dismiss, because we're not even going to deal with this, because this thing is going to go on forever." Right? Because once you challenge, then they have to accept the challenge. If they question, just like what Brother North said, that they ask you something, then you answer their question with a question.
I asked the prosecutor what his nationality was, and the magistrate stepped in.
So that means that magistrate is trying to be a prosecutor.
Yeah, sure.
Which is right just on that alone.
That's the prosecutor. What is your nationality?
Just on that alone.
And the judge is like, "Oh, what do you need that? What do you need that for?"
Right there. That's my
business. I said, "I want to know who is something business." And he said, "You're doing business with the crown." He said, "The crown?" He said, "Yeah, the crown and majesty." And I said, "Okay, Isn't that a corporation?
right? And then again, the continued conversation implies jurisdiction, right? Because by answering the question, you're going into jurisdiction. Because you know that the question that was answered is not relative to anything. Like, why is the judge answering? Prosecutor's right there. You got a mouth. He's gonna say whatever he's gonna say in defending the case. How come you can't answer what nationality he is?
See, it's all the intimidation game. It's like we're just
That's what we were saying.
It's
That's
like, are they gonna throw me out the court?
Here's what
Here's what we're trying to give you for some of us who've been through this before. That it's in that first beginning stuff that you're not gonna have. You trying to get out of your way at the beginning is not gonna happen because then it's sensitive.
yeah.
So you need to sort of pick your battles as to where you're going to go. If you've got all the time in the world, then keep fighting them. At a certain point, though, you may get to a point where they're going to say that you're in contempt. And then what's going to happen is then they may then decide to sort of take control of your physical body for some time. And that's yet again just certain warnings. But then ultimately it's about getting to the appellate stage where hopefully you've got certain learned people, as well as people that do not want to see this being sort of set down as precedents. And then what will happen is it'll be those more genius minds that are then going to say, okay, that judgment was thrown out, and then more than likely they're going to kick it back downstairs to the same guys that you're just dealing with, and then they're going to make it go away.
Once they do that, they can make.
Well, in a certain way, but then again, remember, our taxes are paying them to take you into their jurisdiction. You have to work every day to support all that and your stuff. So ultimately, too, you just keep feeding the beast.
Yeah.
So that's part of the issue too. And then, as I said, you got to weigh out all what this is worth. If you keep standing your ground, more than likely, they have to acquiesce on law. But that might be 3 years from now. That might be 25 work days from now.
They set a trial date for the 11th, 12th, and 15th, and they set an interim for 6th of March. And so I was looking for them to set a trial date for 2021. Like, let it go until it's so far going on, or the days take so long that it's like.
Yeah, the problem is for them too. They have certain requirements that they have to stick by. There has to be what's called.
they got their quota too.
But I think it's also habeas corpus, right, or something which is your right to a speedy trial. And they have, and there are charter rights behind those things. Whereby, if you were on bail on something, to have a trial 5 years from now is not fair. So, and if any of you've seen it, there's a period of time when the courts were overwhelmed, and a lot of people were having their charges dropped just on charter rights alone, from the perspective that it had taken too long to even get to court. That's how busy they were. So listen, you got to juggle that stuff, and just stand on the principles, and they will be recognized, but more than likely not at that beginning stage.
At that first stage.
And then not from anything because you're new to this. So just like Nora was saying, it's going to take you time to figure out how to battle them down at that beginning level. And so that's where you're at.
That's why it's good when animals go to get experience.
Yes.
Yeah. To see what's going on.
Sometimes I see some little things I will tell my son to, but he's not so. So many little ways you could simply, quietly nail him in a corner. Few words and strong on your words.
Yeah. And not strong. Yeah, not strong on your words. Like,
see, you understand? It's like you agree. Sometimes you never understand nothing. I don't understand nothing. Nothing. How are you saying I don't understand? You don't understand it. Don't drop me over there. I don't understand it. It's gonna stay here all day? Okay. All day. I don't understand. When I can get to understand it, then we could probably.
That's the one other thing I'll tell you guys. In this route, be prepared. It's going to be days. I had I had a red light camera. 5 days. It took 5 work days over 2 years to get dismissed. I went in there, challenged them. They kicked me out. They then called me back on the system. No, they called you in the court, but of course you've been kicked out. So then this is the game they play. So then they're calling the straw. You're not there. Then they proceed with the trial.
ex parte.
Ex parte. Then they found me guilty because there was no one to defend it. So then they kicked me up to the appellate court. So then in there, they're trying to tie us to some dirty moors out in Alberta. And some dirty moors that set up precedents. So sovereign citizen kind of stitch. So that then they would ask you, they would try and attach you to that. They were trying to attach me to this dirty war. And I kept saying, no, that's not who I am. Because they can't bring in stuff from other provinces to try and tie you to it. And then they were trying to say that because I was in my natural person, that I couldn't speak for the straw. They were saying that I couldn't speak for that. But then the judge says, well, really, if his mother was there and said he was sick, would you guys have allowed that? Because that's what I was doing. When I first went into court, I was saying, the straw isn't here, I'm here for the straw. They were then saying that you're not that person, get out.
Yeah.
Then they were calling that person, which was really neat still. They weren't allowing me back in there. That was their little subterfuge.
Yeah.
Then they found me guilty. So then when I went to the appeals court, they said, well, that person that was there wasn't connected to the person. But then the judge said, well, if his mother was there, you would have had to have allowed that. And it's interesting that he used the mother principle, right? He was saying if your creator was there, would you have allowed the mother to have said, I'm sorry, the individual's not there? They had to say yes. So then they overthrew the decision because the decision was made on the premise that I wasn't there, though I was there. And then when I went back down to they kicked it back downstairs. When I went back downstairs, this is now the fifth time. This is over the course of a year. Now, right, you have to think about the days I get to take off, all that kind of stuff. Then when they kicked it back downstairs, I went in there and I found something else. That a number was wrong, so I was going to try that route. And then the guy came over and said, "We're looking to throw it out." And then when I got in there, just as I stood up, he stood up and said, "We're looking to withdraw this thing." And that was it. That cost me $2,000 for lost wages for a ticket that was $350. That if I had agreed to say I was guilty, I would have paid $120. So you see what I'm saying? But that proved to me what I knew was right. But it cost me more money. It cost me 5 times as much as the actual ticket.
What they were saying about me was that I was probably gonna get a 2.5-day trial, and then judging by what you do know or what you don't know, probably 2.5 days.
No,
So
and then
2.5-day trial.
And then remember that them doing that is them playing God power because they really don't know. They could dismiss the stuff when they walk in there. And not even take 2 days.
They try that with him too.
You know?
The same ex parte thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not that? Okay.
Yeah.
Go on the mic, call.
Yeah,
Call.
they did it the first time.
And what he did, he go back outside.
I come back in.
And they call and he come back inside. I'm the one representing this.
Right. Fast.
Out the window it goes.
You didn't kick me out, though. You just left and came right back in.
Yeah, you see with me,
You're
though, they
saying
have-
if you're not the person, then we're gonna go on the mic and call this
You
person.
physically took them.
So you physically walk out
That's
the
what
door,
because you just
and when they call him, you walk back inside.
No, but what part I didn't tell you is that when I was up there, I said, before we proceed, I need to see where your delegation of authority order is. That's what I said to him. I said, how do I know I'm even in the right court? Where is the delegation of authority? He said, I have authority. I said, I don't see any of that. That's when I was basically in contempt with him. So you understand? So it was a little bit different from him because I actually was challenging jurisdiction.
You had to prove it, right?
I was forcing him to prove it before that happened. So what they did is they nipped me at the butt by then saying,
Get out.
okay, you're not Bruce King, then get out. And then that's when they had the bailiff stop me. I was out there, but the bailiff was right there. There's no way I was going back in like the way your son was. It was a whole different thing. And then when I came in afterwards, I said, what happened? They said, well, we exparcated. You weren't there. We found you guilty.
Just a quick question. So I know that the judges, they have to have nationality, it's secret, they have pheasants, they have first names, and I know what order are they a part of them? Because if he's asking me, because he's not asking me a question that the answer is going to be no, right? He's trying to tie me to sovereign citizen movement. What is the question that I can ask him that he has to lie in order to say no?
Yeah, it's also what
What
relevance does that? What relevance does am I a sovereign citizen have to do with the case? Just like North saying, where you get that from? Like where you get that from?
I should have said, do you have that? What color is your flag? What does your flag say? What does your flag say?
I'm more of going the angle of, can you please, in writing, please, or not please, can you, I am asking for your jurisdiction. Before I go any further, I want to make sure that I'm not in some kind of, in some quasi criminal courthouse here. I need jurisdiction. That's what you can hold them on, in my perspective. Diversity of citizenship.
That's what I stated in there, and I said because at first they were like, oh, like I started up and I started up strong, and then the same woman who tried to like intimidate, she's like, oh, sorry, we have a woman in the body of the court. Magistrate, you want to tell her to leave or whatever? And she's like, oh, who's that? Who's that? They're talking. And she was like, I don't think she's a lawyer. I'm like, that's my empress. And she's like, what would you say? I said, that's my empress. I said, sorry, your empress? Yes. I think we might have to ask her to leave or whatever. So when we came back, he probably listened like 3 times when we came back for saying, oh, I forgot to tell you, like she can come now, she can come inside now. Like the second time when I came back.
And all that could be for the same thing.
You know, I went to there and I asked 2 questions. 2 questions I asked have nothing to do with nothing that I went there for. And I have to ask her. The third one is why this is dismissed. Why you dismissed and why withdrawn? Why? No witness. I didn't bother to say how come maybe 8 cruisers were there. Where are those people? I didn't bother going to that because you're dismissed. But what I asked her, who are you, man? Because I went in and they say, who is whatever? And who are you? Who are you, man? And she tell me. I said, oh, so what's your nationality? And she said, Canadian.
Yeah.
And I know, hold on, and I know I could wrap her up again with other things, but I said, okay, I'm not going to put too much pressure because I see you heading my way. And you answered me, and I know Canadian is corporation.
Yeah.
And you said you are. I don't need to ask you, what was your great grandmother? Canadian too? That's your bloodline? This is nothing to do with the case, just a straight conversation by introducing who we are in this space today. And then I ask her now, the last thing I asked her, I said, man, if someone is in slavery, you get free, he's gone in his home, and somebody catch him and try to put him out. What is that called? Oh, then you see colored people now. Then you see her colored chick. That's colored people. She changed. Our color changed. And I said, okay, man. Okay, man. Mother dismissed, free to go. And we don't go to nothing that I went there for. Couple of questions I asked her. Don't let them ask you alone and you don't ask. Don't let them ask you alone and you don't ask.
Right. That's the whole point of that.
And you could ask very simple questions that they must answer, which sometimes have nothing to do. It seems like an offender to. That's how they trick you sometimes to get you into their stuff.
Every time.
Some tricky little question. Will you turn it back?
So what I noticed is that at first every time I was talking to the mic and I realized it was a lot louder. So the same woman who was like intimidation, oh, can you talk? But you don't have to talk, you need to talk to the mic. You're hearing this guy is here, the guy with the mic, the phone is here. And what at the end of the day, what it is that Drew Ali said to speak with an intelligent tone. And so that has to be like there's so much like you have to be prepared well before that, because when your emotions are involved, you're thinking about what's going on and everything like that. Like that's when they have you, because that's the spiritual part of it. So if you're not having that intelligent tone and you're not speaking like the same way an elder is, or just talking like this and just reasoning calmly and you're answering like that, then like they can see the nervousness, they can hear the nervousness coming through the microphone through the speaker. So like that's what I mean. Like for me before when we come back in or to ask the question innocently with no attitude, that seems like it comes out of nowhere. It'll catch them off guard. It takes them out of their battle mode because they're in battle mode, right?
She just couldn't answer the slavery thing. She said, I don't want to talk about that, and this is not about that. And then, you know, what I did, this matter is this.
She dismissed it.
Yeah, and then I goes, why? Oh, no witness. No witness. So I'll do this.
Because the man tried to tell me that Canada
that was charged, not like that's criminal charge.
I asked the
Criminal charge of obstructing justice, not traffic violation. Obstructing justice. That was my charge.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, this is criminal for you, for criminal charges. Right? But so because after the nationality, I asked the magistrate what his nationality was. He said he was Canadian. And I said, oh, but Canada is a corporation, isn't it? Canada was registered in Washington, D.C., wasn't it? It was in July 1st, 1867. That's what I said. And he's like, hold on, what's that? And he's writing it down. I want to research this stuff. And I just looked at him like, He's playing here. Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Like you think that
I
I
know,
think
so-
you don't know, but you're supposed to know. If you don't know, then you're incompetent. You can't
But
even
then,
sit in
but
there.
then again, too, how much people were in court,
It was Justin's.
right?
The only one there.
So just like Brother Noah said, there's
That's why they want her to do.
once you're in the venue,
You have
right? There's certain things, like they have it set up where anything goes, right? There's no way that this is gonna go according to law or whatever, because it's quasi. Like anything could go on in there. Anything could happen at any time. There's no foolproof way that, like when Morris say, well, I got court, what do I do when I go in there? I don't know, go in there, see what happens. You better know what you're talking about when you go in there.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what
That's
it is.
what- I know
Because
That's exactly what it is, because they're familiar with the language, so it's all about what is entered into the record. So the whole time they're talking there, it's not just talking, like they're talking with the record in mind. They're speaking to the record. So every single time they're saying something, they know the meaning of what they're saying, and they're making sure that that's being said so that it can be heard on the record. And when there's no rebuttals to what's being said, then that's jurisdiction.
and then that's even if that's gonna be on the record, because majority of times we're not gonna get the transcript after.
You have to pay for it.
So it might not even be on there. You know what I mean? That could be a guy just there, just doing this with his fingers. He's not typing nothing.
Because I think that's what was going on. The guy who was nervous and the woman who was aggressive, I think he was worried about whatever his job was to make sure he did his job correctly. The same way the first time when I went into Newmarket, and that's where they tried to, oh, you're not the straw, okay, get out. And then so when I served, I didn't send the writs in, I didn't mail them in, I didn't submit it to the magistrate. I gave my writ to the prosecutor.
Yeah.
So it was never on the record. But when I gave it to him, the man was sweating.
Yeah.
He took a break, he left, he went and got counsel. They're like, oh, 5 minute recess, and he was sweating. And then I see him in the hallway, the guy's sweating, he's all tight, and other lawyers, whatever. He's not the boss. We're there telling the guy to calm down, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just there looking, like I
He might also-
move from there, I'm watching what he's doing.
That might also been an intern or somebody.
Yeah.
That he never dealt with that. Never dealt with that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was sweating.
Right?
He was sweating.
So, you brothers got any questions relative to things that were taught, things that were said? You know what I mean? Whatever at all, you could throw those up right now and we'll square up some things.
Because I keep hearing you mentioning the straw, and then it's not so fun. Are you, because the other guy he was making it seem like you move away from one. Are you able to navigate as a straw and you're a natural person as well?
Right. So when we one of the beginning lessons. One of the beginning lessons is learning to live within contrast. So, license, birth certificate, passport, any type of document that Canada, Ontario, any of the corporate jurisdictions issue is a contract because it's a signed document. The problem is that they never sign, only we sign. So then only we're liable to it.
Is that called a linear contract?
Right? Linear contract. So one of the things that we teach with regard to exercising with the straw is one, that you reserve your rights. On anything that you sign with those people. And then what that is on the line, there's more who have a stamp, and then they stamp this, or they just write it on the line. All rights reserved. And then whatever you've been signing with as the straw signature, or whether you're in sound mind, you have a more signature, then you sign the signature over that. So now this contract, this all rights reserved on the contract lets whoever's receiving this know that the individual who signed has rights reserved. And that you could challenge the contract at any time. Right? 2 is a term called ex relation. Somebody got a lot of dictionary here? Ex relation. Right, so 1, this is just standard that you would do anytime you're dealing with those people. Now, once they say sign here, all rights reserved, and then sign. Right? There's even some Moors who they don't even put a signature on it. They just write all rights reserved. That's their signature. Because there's a contract here. I'm the only one signing. Nobody else is signing. Let me protect myself, because with a linear contract, somebody's probably running fraud if they're not going to sign. Just like with anything else that if you're dealing with out here, you know what I mean? You're dealing one-on-one with somebody, you know, them selling you their conveyance or whatever, and they don't want to give you a bill of sale for the car, but they're telling you, yeah, Lamborghini or whatever like that engine is in this car, so you know what I mean? Just give me the 20 grand and then you can take the car. Well, you don't have to do a contract. Oh no, it's all right. Trust me, you know, the car works fine or whatever. It's probably a lemon. You know what I mean? So anytime you see contracts that have only you signing, automatically just reserve your rights. And then once you reserve your rights, now you're protected to challenge that anytime something comes up with regard to this contract. Which is why, for example, with Moors that have that still use the instruments, if they have license or whatever like that, when they flip that, it's all rights reserved on it. If they use passports, all rights reserved on it. If they use any of these instruments, their rights are reserved on it, so that if these people try something, give me a ticket for some whatever, know that when I go to court, I'm not going to court as the name on the license. I'm going to court as the individual with the rights. And then the second one is ex relation, which would be relation. Yeah, ex relation. Just look, there's a section in there where it says where it's X, just like X words, like EX word.
Relation speaks about consanguinity. We know there's no consanguinity.
Yeah. Right. So. Right, so the second one is ex relation. So ex relation is pretty much reserving your rights on a different level, right?
Right here.
When you put down, trust it's in there.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it? When you put down the strawman name, anytime you write the strawman name on paperwork that has to do with the people that want to know the strawman name, you write it down like this: your free national name, ex relation, the strawman name, right?
Ex relation, upon relation or information. Legal proceedings which are instituted by the Attorney General or other proper persons in the name and behalf of the state, but on the information and at the instigation of an individual who has a private interest in the matter, are said to be taken on the relation, ex relation, of such person who is called the relator. Such a cause is usually entitled thus: state ex relation, Doe versus Roe. In the books of reports, when a case is said to be reported ex relation, it is meant that the reporter derives his account of it not from personal knowledge, but from the relation or narrative of some person who was present at the argument.
So because this name comes from an instrument that was not created by yourself, and you are now in proper person, you have a relation with this name. But that's not you. You're just here based on relation. And like they said, either the Attorney General can talk for this, or the individual who's improper person, which would be the individual who declared their nationality, proclaimed their nationality, and now they're saying that they're not this, they have a nation to back them. Once you have a nation to back you, now you can talk on behalf of that all capital letters name, right? Because they're trying to make you be this. You're trying to tell them, no, I'm not that. I'm this. I just have information relative to that. Right. Sis, you have a question?
Yeah, what about the authorized representative and
So from the aspect of power of attorney, the one who is given power of attorney is going to have something signed from them saying that they're power of attorney. So you might get jammed up because they're going to want to see something from them to say that you're power of attorney. And then authorized representative is if, for example, like what the brother was saying with his court situation, that I'm here to represent that, would make you authorized representative. It could be said. So this is more writing, right? But you can also say this. And by saying this, it means that there's a relationship to that without you saying authorized representative. Because authorized representative could also lead to mean that you file some UCC package, which you don't want to be part of that either.
I thought the authorized representative was just a default because the birth certificate was sent to you. It was sent to me at birth, so I am the authorized representative because there's nobody that can come and send a face that this is.
Right, but if you're saying representative, that means the other individual that you're representing is an individual.
Why? I don't.
Because by being a representative, like a
I said I'm not it, I represent it.
You represent, right? So to represent, you can't represent it.
Can't represent it.
You can't represent it. You can only present. You can only present. You can't represent in the grand scheme.
Okay.
You can't represent because representation means attorney, counsel, lawyer, or whatever like that. That's not what you are. You're a free inhabitant of the land.
Okay.
So you're just presenting. I'm presenting myself.
Mm-hmm. Not representing.
Not representing.
That's something different.
Because once you start representing, now they're going to ask you for bar licenses and stuff like that because you're representing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we say ex-relation, because really what's going on is that this is not a being to be represented. This is really just information. Right? That they can only deal with this level. They can only deal with the straw man because they created it. But you don't have to deal with it because that has nothing to do with you. Your perspective is that they're trying to put this on you like you're this. And you're not really trying to have anything to do with that in that capacity.
And they asked me when I was there, oh, are you going to be hiring a lawyer or attorney or something like that? I said, I do not wish to be represented. I will present myself. I won't be represented. If anyone is representing me, they're going to do it on behalf, like in favor of the court. Every time they go in and they come out, they're bowing. And they're talking to the person trying to curse or prosecute you, saying, my friend here who's trying to persecute you. Meanwhile, they're supposed to be defending you, but they're buddy with who's trying to do you harm. Does that make sense?
So ultimately, it just comes down to the language. So by speaking from the perspective of representative or representing or anything, it's a thin line because that implies that you have a bar card, you're a lawyer, you're an attorney, you're some type of officer of the court, which you're not that. And then the other side of it is that people who do UCC processes talk like that. And then you don't want them to assume that you did any of those processes either. So by speaking from X-Relation, you're keeping it strictly on the fact that you're not the Attorney General, you're somebody that's an improper person, which is in the definition of X-Relation, which justifies why you're using that term like that. Any other questions? Any and all questions are acceptable.
There is some cities to use to so you have to write it and put stamp it too.
How do you challenge the jurisdiction?
The best way to challenge the jurisdiction is in writing first. So that would be your
No, the same thing you write in the board, resolution.
just in a stamp form.
You stamp this and sign over this.
Yeah, that's a stamp form. So with regard to challenging jurisdiction, if you have some type of paperwork, writ of discovery or whatever like that, that would be in the things that you're sending to the court. So you would be asking them for their delegation of authority or whatever like that, which is challenging jurisdiction. You know, what's their nationality, challenging jurisdiction, which is why we would say to, before you go there, that you send in something to them. But then again, you know, it's based on the level of knowledge that you have, because people with more knowledge, they don't even, it's not even nothing about papers. They go in there and stand on their square, and these people are going to do what they're going to do, regardless whether you send in papers or not. They already have their way that their stuff's going to run. You know what I mean? The only real issue that would come up to challenge like that would be dealing with highwaymen or whatever. You know, by you telling them where to call your supervisor, you're challenging their jurisdiction. Because obviously they don't know what's up, so we need somebody who's competent to deal with me.
My supervisor should know.
Yeah, supervisor, and the supervisor should show up and know exactly what's going on. No, they.
So a lot of it is more knowledge, more knowledge than.
Yeah. Yeah. Ultimately.
The paper can't speak, right?
And then if you are dealing with paper, the paper is an example of your knowledge anyways. Like what's on the paper is expressing what is in your mind. Yeah, right? Which is why people can get away with saying sell papers. Because the individual who's saying 500 for papers, they know that it's not about papers. But they know that the person who's going to buy it doesn't know that it's not about paper. They think it's about, oh, this paper is going to be, once I have this paper, oh yeah, now I'm going to be free to be able to do whatever. That's not how it works. That's no different than, you know, I throw you a chainsaw. You got it, but if you don't know how to put gas in it or pull the string or make it work, you're just sitting there with a chainsaw that you got. Right, so the thing with the that we had about the living within contracts would be, for example, like if I travel, I use a passport, right? I use their passport because I know that my free name, I don't want it entangled in their world. That's free for me to use. That's not for them to have to use on their stuff. This is my perspective, right? So I just live within the contract, reserve my rights on it. Make sure I have my fez in the picture or my turban in the picture, and I go wherever I'm gonna go. You don't have any issues. And if it's really an issue, they're gonna put the X on the thing. They're gonna send me in the back or whatever like that, and they're gonna question me on, well, why are you wearing that? How come you got a picture of the whatever? Let me see your bags, and they go in the bag, and then they see everything Moorish in there. Because if I'm traveling most times, it's to do some lecture or something like that. You know, they'll question why you got this, who, you know what I mean? The last place I went to, the individual was keen on Moorish info. He knew what was up. Oh, you're a Moor, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, I've been to Africa, and you know what I mean, I've traveled, and my wife's dad, they live next to Barack Obama's mom, and he showed me the pictures of him with Barack Obama's mom and all that stuff. That wouldn't happen with a Negro. There's an opportunity to know that information. That individual knew something. He had a certain level of knowledge. So just like we're saying that it's not about the card or the paper or the whatever. So like I said, I showed a passport, and we didn't have any conversation about the passport and why they sent me in the back or whatever. They just wanted to know, who's this guy with the fez on? Let me have a conversation and see what's up. You know, have a nice day, shake the hand at the end and all that. That's not how they deal with our people when they take them in the back. You know, and then just like Omar's situation, that was something that let me know, okay, these people know what's up. Ain't no big deal. It's only a big deal when we don't know, because then now we're looking like we're in error. Yeah, now we're looking like we're in error. Because why would you have this card and you don't know? Why would you have these papers and you don't have certain knowledge of this or whatever? You know? Right? Any other questions?
I guess it's more of a comment, but it's like, I'm hoping that if or when I go through with the mortgage, right? This mortgage specialist says that we are approved for a mortgage, and I go to reserve my rights on the contract, that I'll be able to move forward just like that. Like, I don't intend on speaking anything about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, just pretending to be.
Yeah, business as usual.
Yeah, no, we're not worried about or nothing.
Reserve your rights.
And when I sign, I'm just going to reserve my rights.
Reserve your rights.
I was aware though that Amari was on. I remember I spoke to him. I think he was saying that with his situation, he already had somewhere to stay, perhaps.
Yeah.
So when he was acquiring another property, I guess that's where there was the issue. Because, and I realized that's why a lot of people who are out here, especially when you go farther out from the city, you see people with signs that say no trespassing, people with gates that have spikes on them and stuff like that. That's what they're doing anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I mean, they might
right away, but
they might still be you know, just somebody with a mortgage, and they're just protecting their property that they feel that that's their property. You know what I mean? They're just going through the motions. You know, I bought a property, I'll put a fence around it with glass on top of the fence because I don't know why you breaking into my stuff. You know, which they got a right to do that. You know, they think they're the owner. So it is, you know, act like owner. Make it till you make it.
mortgage means debt until death.
Yeah, mortgage, debt pledge. Mortgage.
Or say French. Mortgage. H.
Which again, you know, because that's a contract, you reserve your rights on it because you know that it's a debt pledge. And then you just and then you're protected. So that way, if it does get down to, you know, them trying to foreclose or whatever like that because you didn't pay something, then you could question them and challenge them on certain things. You know, you can make demands from them now.
Well, since it's I mean, if you're signing it and you don't reserve your rights, that's not necessary. Is it still fraud? Like
it's fraud on you.
It's fraud on me without reserving the rights, right?
Yeah.
So you're the fraud of them.
That's what I'm looking
Yeah,
at. Like,
because they're already committing fraud just by not say, for example, when you, instead of them giving you mortgage contract, they should be showing you deed of trust to show that they're the owner, and then they're transferring that to you in a trust. That now you're gonna take the deed and then you put that in your trust, and so now it's yours. Just like with the registration. When you go for the car, they give you ownership. They should be giving you a certificate of manufacturer. A statement of origin is what they should be giving instead of an ownership.
in regards to the home and mortgage and whatnot, I was looking at it, I'm intending on just playing the game basically only for a year. Like just a couple months after 9 months, let's say, and according to the way things are supposed to go, after 9 months, the promissory note is supposed to become a security, right? That's what they do with it. They take it and trade the promissory note
Right.
after 9 months.
Yeah.
So I was gonna wait for them to do what they normally do and not return the promissory note, which in their books is a asset. And then especially if I take notice to the fact that somebody else buys the mortgage or the mortgage company switches.
Mm-hmm.
So that's supposed to be like the same thing in with debt consolidation, or not even consolidation, but credit. What is it called? Credit, when your thing goes into collection, and all of a sudden somebody else is coming at you. You're on a contract where you have third party utilities. Right. That's when I was intending if that happens.
But that's even if they go there.
Yeah.
They might not. For example, they might not go with third party to get it. They might say, "Oh, you didn't pay. We're taking it to court," and then that's that. Give us the 800,000 or whatever right now, right? Like because it's a corrupt game. Street card Molly. Like
Even though like there's not another mortgage company named on the.
Yeah, like remember that you're dealing with the company, right? The mortgage company. The mortgage company is supposed to have a deed of trust to prove that they are able to even mortgage it. The fact that they didn't present that in the beginning, that lets you know that it's fraud, which is why they take the contract and sell the mortgage. So they can get paid from that, and then they're getting paid from you. So they're getting paid double. But if let's say you decide that you're not going to pay, right? They already sold the mortgage, so that's not coming back around for you to see or whatever. That's already gone. That probably switched 50 hands by the time the 9 months goes around, right? And then if they do present it, you're going to be able to see how much people had their hands in it because they would have had to sign it in order to sell it to the other person.
So because of the signature on it, I have the right to ask for it to be presented.
Right, you can present it, but they also have the right to say we don't want to do it, which is the situation that Amari had. That they want to do, they're not going to want to deal with the fact that the truth is being presented that they're running a fraud. They want to look like they're not doing nothing. They're a mortgage company. They're doing this stuff. You know what I mean? This is the system of everybody has a mortgage. Just like how they put up, you got a license? No, I don't got a license. Everybody has a license. What do you mean you don't have a license? You're supposed to have a license in Canada. It's the same game. Yeah. It's just with a mortgage now. Or it's with a passport. Or it's with, you know what I mean? Whatever. You know?
In that sense, though, when I say they're saying they don't want to deal with you or don't want to deal with the truth, how can they benefit from that though? Because
because they can go to anybody else. You're one individual. And they get anybody.
Also, you're saying once they say they don't want to do it anymore, that's them withdrawing back their claim. Their quote unquote claim.
I mean, not necessarily withdrawing their claim, but you have to remember that we're coming from just finding out. They're coming from we've been doing this fraud. So they're not going to let anybody mess up their fraud just because, you know what I mean, we came into something. You know what I mean? They'll throw the book at you, make an example of you to stop anybody else from doing that before they acquiesce.
But that's why I'm curious of like at law or in law, and what book is there to throw when the facts and the truth is presented? How is it that they're able to throw?
It's no different than when they say Jermaine Samuels, say your name for the record. Oh, I'm not Jermaine Samuels. I'm LB. Get the hell out, and the ex parte anyways.
Same thing with the trial for the
same thing, because they're looking at protect their colonial activity. They're looking at, we're colonists. We have a certain agenda, mode of operations, and that's how we're running. No different than if you're saying, you know what, City of Toronto, don't pick up my garbage anymore. You know what I mean? I'm going to get rid of my own garbage because I got my own garbage company. They're not going with that. No, you're either contracting with us or take your stuff to the landfill or whatever. You're not starting your own garbage company and then you start going around picking up garbage, getting in our finance that we've been doing for 100 years around here. Like, it ain't going on like that because we monopolize this market. We own this market, right? This is why the thing with Moors having tags or whatever, that's a cornered market. The Ministry of whatever runs the plates, licenses, whatever market. You make your own stuff, these people are going to come at you because you're messing up there, you're getting into their finance, which we know is a fraud and all that stuff, whatever like that, but that's not how they're looking at it. But, Omar, you had something?
No, I don't. My question is, like, what is the defense for that? Like, how many people does it take to storm the courtroom, to fill up the courtroom to the point where they can't get?
It's no different. It's no different than how many people are we gonna get to say tomorrow don't go to work. System will fall, but what those people gonna do on Tuesday?
After not going to work on Monday.
After not going to work on Monday, they're probably gonna run back to work, more than likely, because the infrastructure is not set up for something like that, something that grand. Everybody not go to work. No different than with the strike or whatever. Why do you think they sent everybody back to school?
Sunday night at 9:30.
Sunday night.
Right
before. Because the whole plan, everybody was walking off. The plan was everybody's gonna walk off. If everybody said we're not going to work tomorrow, guaranteed all of a sudden there's gonna be, everybody's pay is gonna go up. Everybody's gonna have health care plan for whatever like that. They're gonna put so much stuff in place and make people go back. And then people will be like, shit, we're getting double now?
Do that next year.
We'll go back. The hell? You know what I mean? And if they don't, they got enough immigrants that they're gonna tell them, these people don't want their 50 grand a year. We'll pay all these immigrants 20 a year. And stuff still be going on. Because we're in something that me and Omar were talking about this earlier. The issues that we're having, that we're trying to resolve or whatever, these are things that's been going on for so long. Like we talk about, these people have for themselves, for example, the Ashkenazis say, we think 500 years ahead for us to be where we're at right now as Ashkenazis. We run the world, run the Hollywood industry, run the whatever. If they're saying 500 years for themselves, how much years are they planning ahead for the people who they're against? How far are they looking at? If they're planning for themselves 500, then they must be planning double, triple the time for the people who they know are a threat to their stuff that they got going on. The Mormons, how much are they planning? They're not even in with everybody else. The Mormons said we're gonna go out there, wherever, how much ever hours, we're gonna go that way. And we're gonna do our own stuff out there. Nobody's not gonna bother us because ain't nobody else out here but us. We got this stuff on lockdown. Nobody bother us out here. And they do what they want. They still got horse and carriage. They don't have car. Horse and carriage everywhere. But their system's running fine. They got their own school, they got their own whatever, they got their own society going on. They don't have anything to do with anybody else. And they've been doing that for however long they've been doing that. And then why they do that? Why they call themselves Mormons? Because they know exactly what it takes. Because they learn from us. And then we didn't adopt everything. And again, we had Garvey come, you know, even we had even Elijah Muhammad or whatever came. Put certain things out, but the people love to follow, not lead.
So on the note of talking ahead, then I want to switch the topic to what I just seen the other day inside the grocery store. Scientology bought a state cache. What state was that? Scientology bought New York, or Scientology bought?
Yeah, no different than Jordan buys prisons. Corpse.
Yeah.
Nobody could buy that. They didn't buy the state, the land mass or whatever. They bought papers.
Corporation. And the business that's running the people that are there.
Right? No different than with China. China buying up whatever in Africa. China bought a mine in Africa or whatever. Right? That's a corporation. They bought the corporation that owns the rights to the mine. They didn't buy the mine. They bought the corporation. Since the mine's there, now they got jurisdiction to go dig whatever they want, because that's their corporation now. And then people get caught up that they bought the land. How could they do that? So-and-so bought a river, or so-and-so bought whatever. They didn't buy no river or whatever. It's all corporate activity. But then, and which is why, you know, Declaration of Nationality and all that. Because once these people buy the corpse, and then you're saying my license, my passport, and whatever that, now you just got bought too.
That's what I'm saying now. What does that mean now for the people that are part of that state? Due to the fact that Scientology, the founder of Scientology, is the kind of oppression against our people.
Yeah, it's just gonna be worse stuff going on. You know, if like when you look at the teachings of the Scientologists, right? They're not wrong like that. They're trying to make the European situation better, right? Because they know that they're the new nigger. And they know that it's them now. With immigrants, with, you know what I mean? Our people waking up or whatever, with our people being below the status of animals in the field or whatever.
Because they identify.
Now it's them. So what do they want? You think they want? They're not gonna play new nigger like we're proud of it. You know what I mean? Go sing about it and we're niggers and all that type of stuff. They're not playing that stuff. They'll say we're Scientologists before they say we're European. Because because now they get to stay here. We're whatever. We're children of God. We're free men on the land. We're all this stuff. They'll say that they're everything before they say we're European. So that means that once they start talking like that, then they'll have jurisdiction. You're a foreigner. How you got so much jurisdiction over here? Own all these companies and stuff. You never paid off any of these Asiatics whose land you stole to even have your company or whatever. No. Right? But ultimately what it comes down to is us looking within and us fending for ourselves. Like we were saying with the Sikhs, right? Brampton is Bangladesh. Because these guys said 5 of us are gonna go buy that house when that whatever gets built, right? 300 houses in this spot or whatever. 5 of us are gonna buy that one right there. And then I'm gonna talk to my cousin, and then he has 5 people, and then they're gonna buy the one next to the one I got. Then he has a cousin, and then they're gonna buy five next to the whatever, and then they pay those off. In the time it takes us 15 years to pay off, they pay that off in 5, and then they go buy whatever. At the same time, they're renting out the basement, renting out every single room or whatever like that. Then they pay off that next house in 2 years.
They have equity in a whole bunch of credit based on ownership. And then they open up businesses.
And then they're looking out for each other, because all of them are gonna have some type of, you know, A1 rating or whatever like that. They're gonna use their stuff, you know, give their friend whatever, start a business or whatever like that. Make sure you bring some finance back, whatever like that. They look out for each other. Chinese do the same stuff, and that's how they maneuver.
So I have like a quick question, like not exactly like what is it gonna take, but it's like for my opinion, it's like, so then Arabs, right, or those from Morocco or even in Kuta, Egypt, like the Sikhs and whatnot, like everybody of the Orient, most of the people of the Orient are aware of the situation and aware of who we are and where they are when they come. And then because it's to their benefit why they come here to the land of milk and honey, they come here to do business and not to wake us up or to be honorable. So they do business with Canada. My question is, like, these people are Moors as well. Like, when is it that they're going to say, okay, we're not going to do business with Canada anymore? We see our relatives waking up, being active.
They see 1 or 2 of their relatives waking up, being active. The majority of them see niggers. That's why when you talk to my parents' generation, right now, they're saying Hindus and Sikhs and whatever, they're more racist than some Europeans. They're saying they're worse than Europeans. They're saying what they used to get from Europeans ain't nothing what they're getting from Hindus and whatever right now. The European is gonna at least get up on the bus, give them their seat right now. And that Hindu sit there and stare at them. Yeah. But get up for what? Like, you guys had your bus ride and gave up your stuff. People sat at the front for you guys to have rights and you do that stuff, and now you want us to get up? The hell out of here. Dishonorable. Right? This is why, again, you know, Noble said, hey, your brothers from the East are gonna come save you. 1920s, there was no foreigners here like that. They're all here now, but now how they get here? They stopped being Moors where they're at to come here to be Canadian, to be in Parliament and have an MP job and run the whatever party and all that type of stuff.
To be asked to take off his turban.
To be asked to take off their turban. That, you know, they know that they're not going to take that off, whatever, because they got certain rights and national principles that they're going to stand on if they get challenged or whatever. But they're not going to give it up so some other people could have it.
To the point where they have daggers.
Brother has a bullet and he's getting 25 years for a bullet. This guy's walking around with a dagger, no issues. But brother have a bullet. Don't even have a gun, just a bullet. You're getting 25. And again, you know, that's dualism. You know, the worst is yet to come. You know what the prophet saying.
I personally went to the same place there, the court, and see one of our people get 4.5 years to have bullet. And then the Caucasian came in with his mother and father. He was involved in shooting him down, and he get 12 months for it. And was involved in shooting, but guilty, he get 12 months. And my people now, they caught him with a bullet and some drugs, whatever, and he get 4.5 years. No gun, just a bullet. When I used the gun, shoot it all over the van. You get 12 months probation. I've seen that with my own eyes. Because he's saying he's been nigger, he's been black.
But and again, you know, again going back to Garvey and Juali, all we really need to do is just get organized. That's all.
I want to
get our priorities.
I want to be a part of building the temple.
Yeah, you know.
Like it's fully built from scratch.
Yeah. right? But like we used to say back in the day, you know, when the first guy came with the blueprint for the pyramid or whatever, hey, we want to build pyramids. All right, what's those gonna look like or whatever? 50-ton bricks or whatever like that and all that stuff. You know, like yeah, right. Who's lifting those? No, we don't have to lift anything. We just use the mind and remove them, and everything will be built in two days. How much people are willing to put the time in to get their mind that right? How much people are willing to put the time to build the temple, to build the temple, so that we can build the temple. Right?
My one version, you know, I told him more to come, and he tried to tell me, oh, you know, I think the problem is with the Moors, they don't put themselves out there now. And I said, brother, what are you talking about? I already sent you how many different classes and things like that for you to go look at to educate yourself and to show yourself, to erudite yourself. You know, every now and then you're sending me a video of some dude who keeps saying black, black, black. And then every now and then you're posting something on Facebook that's just emotionally charging people on social media. That's all it is, just to emotionally charge people into clickbait.
Yeah, but that's where they know they have our people at. Right? That, you know, no ability to want to get things done. Just get amped up to do stuff, and then you have all that energy, and then nothing happens, and then nobody's not going and stringing up these people who amp them up to do nothing.
They just discharge it on each other.
They just discharge it on each other, when they're really supposed to take that energy and do something with it. So just like we're saying, the Bramlander stuff that went on in the past like 10 years or something. That wasn't no some stuff that they're working on that for 500 years. So they just did that yesterday. What do they know that everybody else doesn't know? Oh, they know who they are. That's all. And that's what we're saying with ourselves. We have knowledge of certain things. Let's put some stuff together, put some minds together, get some things done. Not for us to have something, but so that the future generations could have something. Right?
Never will happen.
Yeah, like we're saying, you know, it's not set up to the capacity that we would want it, but the children own the basement right now. That's their basement. They're down there doing what they do. Like, they never had basement before. This be up here, mad. Sit up here, listening to this stuff. Now they got their stuff going on downstairs. That they're comfortable. Right? You know? It's not gonna happen overnight. It's a process. It's a process. And all we gotta do is start. Start somewhere. Keep going. And start and not giving up on it. You know, because we see, you know, like what your brethren saying, oh well, you know what I think the problem is with the Moors?
You're not putting yourself into the public.
They're not doing it. No, the problem with the Moors is that they want to be Negro black colored and they want to play around like they're not Moors. That's the problem with the Moors. The problem with the Moors, they want to go to church and synagogue and all this other stuff without going within. The problem with the Moors is that they want to go, you know, spend 500 on Jordans and line up for hours for a video game or whatever, while, you know, people are suffering 12, 13 bucks.
That's that for your children.
Right? So it's all part of the process. And we have to see it like, you know, we're the cornerstones of this. But remember, this stuff been around since 1913. We just got on game to this for the same reason. Our own people saying, forget that, forget nationhood. Too much. Forget nationhood. Right? Ample amounts of people went to the grave with this knowledge. Ample amounts of people went to the grave with this knowledge. And then people are going to say the Moors aren't doing anything and all that. It's going to be what it is. And then we gotta figure, okay, well, So what is it? Is it throw in the towel and go back to being nigger or whatever? Because regardless of what type of issues we face as Moors, the nigger stuff is worse than anything that I experienced.
But that's the thing, they really don't see that they don't see the relationship between nigger and black.
Yeah.
They think that black is separate from it.
They think Negro is separate from blacks. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And then he could only do so much. That's why back in the 1920s, Drawley said, "This is for the young and unborn. Forget these people around me who are my age or whatever, and think I'm gonna save them." Drawley came for us who are here right now, the unborn. But we're here now. So what are we gonna do with what it is that was given to us? All right? Any other questions, comments?
Any of you more here, please ask some questions. If you got anything, just here to help.
More the better.
Say, like example, when dealing with court and stuff, after you send them your proclamation and your original notice and the name correction forms and stuff, say they're not to reply, they're most likely not to send nothing back to that. Now, if you're being more specific, like sending them a writ of discovery with case numbers and stuff, how long do you have to wait to send them a default notice? You don't reply. Is it 15 days, something like that?
Whatever days you put in the thing for them to reply. Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't reply, then
Then you send them a default. Yeah. So usually, they play 15 days, so you could, or you could harmonize that with our stuff, you know what I mean? Make it up to 5, 7, 9, you know what I mean? 14 days, 16 days, 18 days, just so that it's, in harmony with our vibration. But then again, remember that the fact that you have to send a default, that would mean that they acquiesce, which means that you already won. You won already. The issue is that we're dealing with corrupt people. We keep forgetting that we're dealing with people who they don't have any morals. They don't have any dignity. They're criminals. And criminals don't play fair. That's just what it is.
So I remember you were saying that you not the challenge, but you questioned, I think, the corporation out of Canada about manufacturing version. Is there more that can be more questions that can be asked and more correspondence with regards to that? I mean, what are they really trying to say? That because what I'm understanding then is that wherever the vehicle is being manufactured, whether it's on this land or another land, it's coming in on one of their ships or whatever, and they're claiming it like from its off the manifesto, right? Is that like how it's
once it gets here, they're dealing with registration, ownership. Because remember, they probably have some side deal with whoever they got the cars from or whatever. You know what I mean? Right? Going back to that thing that they've been doing this stuff for so long. You know what I mean? Manufacturer, certificate of origin. Who knows when that went out of circulation? That could be out of circulation from when they first started making cars and shipping them here. If they haven't had one for that long, then it's probably best to, if you do go buy something, that when you get that ownership, right? On the back, it talks about buyer, seller, or whatever like that. Make the straw, sell it to yourself. And then don't register it. If that's if we're gonna talk the route of, you know what I mean, property and own property and allodial title and whatever like that, because you're not gonna get the certificate of origin for you to have allodial title in the jurisdiction of Canada, because they've been a corpse. And all they're about is corporate activity. That's all, corporate activity.
Because the way I'm understanding it now is like, say I didn't, because I have the corporation or the ministry's title of ownership, and then yeah, I wanted to do that, have the straw, sell it to Free Nationals. I think I was watching a YouTube video, and basically the police like to say, oh, like down south where they have less, where they're not playing, where they know like because exercise, they're like, oh, we're just checking if the vehicle stolen. So, like, I'm looking at it from the perspective where the vehicle within the system, nobody claimed it as stolen because it was your straws, it was yours.
Yeah.
But because the corporation's claiming to own it from it comes in to, you know what I mean, the borders, the imaginary borders of the corporation, is there going to be they're going to make that claim that it's stolen at that point? Because like, that's what I was really thinking about, like, because like, yeah, I can, you know, have the transfer from the straw to me, and then also put it in trust, you know, and all that. But I'm still wondering if they're still gonna come and say, oh, like, where's the VIN, or like, you know, where's your plates, license registration, all that stuff. Like they're gonna.
No, that's why they have all those different things, so that in any way you're locked in. You're locked in if you don't have the registration. If you, let's say you create a allodial title for the ownership, all right, now you got to deal with the plate, because the plate has to match the papers that you're claiming you're given. Okay, well, fine. You got to throw that plate away, and we're going to put our own plate on there. Okay, but now they're going to go to the VIN, because all they got to do is look into the thing or whatever like that. VIN.
Then they're going to see.
Oh, then you take the VIN off. All right, well then they're going to say, you know,
suspicious.
Something, you know, oh, insurance. You know what I mean? And that's the line where the Mennonites locked down, that they have their own insurance company, right? But you need $1 million to start one of those.
So that's a mandatory thing, just to be using the on our land to.
No, it's not. It's not. But remember that we're under occupation, and we've been under occupation. We're in the game. We've been in the game. Right? We've been in the game. And then we realize, oh, there's no net, there's no lines, you know, you can't get out. You're in it.
Keep playing.
Keep playing. This is why learn to live within contracts. Oh, okay, fine. You wanna play games? All right. Then we got games too. You know what I mean? But again, it's not that we can't be du jour. If we're gonna be du jour, we have to be du jour in the multitude. We can't be du jour with 8 people being du jour. Because all they do is get rid of those 8 people and then everything's back to normal again. Which is why, again, going back to Joel, saying, you know, uplift all humanity. We're not gonna put the energy into uplifting them to wake up to the point. Like, for example, we keep talking about from our first Noble Jubilee Day until now, with nobody left. We would have our own plates and all that stuff by now. We would have no issues right now. You know if people would be in this right now? But not everybody is built for this. Not everybody's built for this. Some people's job is to make sure that this does not take off. Again, head training. Right? And again, too, going back to that point that, you know, the brothers came in. Now you're where it's really at. You know what I mean? Same thing with the other people, right? Same thing with Winston. Fishing all them people were played or whatever, bringing them to where where they're really supposed to be at from when stuff kicked off. Right? Because there's even the level of, you know, try to let's say manhandle him. And they're supposed to be on some brotherly whatever like that. Taking people's phone, take people's computer, lock them in a room, tell them they're under arrest and all that stuff. When you don't know what authority, what are you talking about? Arrest, what do you mean arrest somebody? Which that's international war crime, because they're selling inalienable rights. You can't sell those. You can't sell rights. Anybody selling rights, they're criminal. Like criminal on supreme level.
That's human trafficking.
Yeah. International war crime.
So I didn't bother to say any of that inside the tribunal, even though that's what I was on and that's what I know, that's what I feel went on when I got drawn down and physically assaulted and put in bondage. And I don't recall him saying I'm not what I'm saying I am. So I guess technically, I can't say he denationalized me, but you know, I was trafficked.
Yeah, but again, even when we look at human trafficking on the level of you know them taking you know, see a girl out there walking, pull her in the car and then put her in some sex trade or whatever. What the hell are you doing walking on freaking 12 midnight, walking in a back alley somewhere, and then want to talk about somebody kidnapping? Why the hell were you in your bed sleeping or whatever like that?
I'm not talking about it from the aspect of sex. I'm saying
no, that's what I'm saying. Even on traffic level. You know what I mean? Like what were we doing? Where was our energy at that these people came down on us?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Did I say my prayer before I got in the car? Do I have my, you know, circle 7 in the glove? Do you know what I mean? Do I have my crystals on me? Like, where was I at? Because once they pull up, know that our energy pulls them. You just show up because they don't feel like it. We're in some type of imbalance while they pulled up. And then there are certain people, you know what I mean? Noir, Yasun, certain people that when they pull up, put them on the way. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. And they go about their business. Because stuff is all right, even if they pull up. Right? That's why Drawley said it's divine and national. And then we get caught up in the national, and then we forget divine. That, you know, it should just like every morning get up, work out, every morning get up, say prayer. Automatic, like it's not even nothing to think about. Every time you go to bed, say a prayer. Every time you leave the house, say a prayer. Every time you get on the conveyance, say the prayer. Get out of the conveyance, say the prayer. Because it's a ritual. You know what I mean? You know? Right? Dwali said that, yo, my power is you guys could pull that power and protect yourself anytime. That's how real it is. But it's only not real if it's looked at that real with the Mormons. Only if they see it like that, would it be that. He said whatever, he did whatever, and you know what I mean? To give thanks to the prophet for doing what he did. But what is it that we're doing with what it is that he brought us?
So what else?
Taking it to the full extent to what it is.
I was brought up earlier when Noir was speak, and I know I brought it up before. I guess now it makes sense. So, in terms of like money, not finance, but money, I know that we're supposed to have being organized as a nation, and then have our de jure government established so that, you know, there's somebody to stop colonization or for quote unquote reparations or just in order to even coin money, right? But what I was thinking was, you know, because I keep wanting to do something with this precious metal that I have, right? I keep wanting to melt it down. I keep wanting to have a statue or the idea I had was even you know, our national flag, it be of you know to be what would you cast? Even cast it, like what my idea was that cast the flag copper and either paint the rest of it red or leave the copper as it is, and then let the star continue again until we have all that. We can't really coin money, right? Or can we?
That, well, again, it's like if it's like the same thing with you know, the thing we're talking about with garbage collection and create our own plates or whatever. They got a mint. That mint ain't playing like that. Because if people know they can come to us and not go to the mint, then they're done for. But again, something like that is having manufacturing to do that. Not one individual doing that. One individual doing that, they shut that down tomorrow. Because, and then again, if we're really gonna mint, it would be gold, silver that we're minting. Why do we mint copper? Yeah. Better we take the copper and we make energy conductors for us to, you know, make wands or make ankhs or something like that we can, you know, say sell these. And then bring in the finance, like on that level.
A small book that they said come from I think it was either Spain or I think Morocco. I seen it on YouTube and they're advertising it was about the same height or size as my son, and it was going for $2,800.
Yeah. Right. But then again, you know, that's why it's on there for $2,000 because ain't nobody buying it.
Only those who are not.
Right? No, I mean that's probably why it's there for $2,000 because nobody. What do you? If you buy that, you're not smoking all of that. You know what I mean? You probably won't use that like that, you know. But we will use some copper ankhs. So we don't ankhs a conductor. We could use some copper, you know, diodes. All these 5G phones or whatever like that. You know what I mean?
Those are the things that essentially I want to do though. But like from the perspective of the item that, you know, $2,000 item, like when the class I was listening to a while ago with Amari, when the European woman, when at the time he was the only one with the green fez, and she was like, you know, that's like all the Moorish ornaments and things like that. Like we don't have them here; those are in Europe for the most part. And then you go into a European's house and they have them there. They're there and they're like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and they probably got that because grand, pass that down for generations. And then that's why it's worth so much. Because it's bigger than just an item now. Now it's a family heirloom. And again, they're not going to go sell that. They're going to keep that in-house. So the family has something, worth something. If stuff goes down, they can say, "Oh, we got the Ark of the Covenant. Give us 50 million." You know, because it's going to go down. You know. Could you just go get those youths downstairs? Close up. Yeah, brother.
Can nations reclaim stuff being held up in museums?
I don't see why they can't. It's just proving the claim to the stuff in the museum.
So you claim in your state, right? For those. Right, but how could someone say that's my property if it's clearly wasn't made by you or any of your ancestors? You obviously got it by mistake.
Yeah, because they exactly know how they got it.
Right. So
yeah.
That's just forever gone. Like no one, like I guess you could go fight for it, but
yeah,
there's no
that's ultimately
say, hey, like that's obviously this. Those are the people where that came from.
Yeah.
Give it back.
Yeah, I mean, the claim has to be
like a capstone.
The claim has to be,
right?
yeah.
It obviously came from that pyramid.
Right.
Why
Yeah.
can't they put it back?
But then
That would change everything. That would change.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think it's a matter of making an argument. Let's say, for example, it's something that displays a more. Even if, let's say, what it was the European that does the defense that they're going to say they made it, why they made it?
They would say it's theirs.
Yeah.
Or whatever thought it means or whatever, but
But what they're doing is honoring our ancestors. So if you're gonna be honorable, then wouldn't it be honorable to return?
like for example, something like that would be the claim the claim of that would be powerful. Let's say if we have the building that's going to be the museum, and then we start hitting up all these people that we have our museum now.
right.
We want our stuff back to put in our museum so we can display our whatever to the world. We know that you stole a that. We know that you stole a that. Item number, whatever like that. You know what I mean? Everybody knows the curator, and we get whatever it is that they got, and then force them to give it so we can. But first, we just say give the stuff back so I can keep it at my house. Then, like, people aren't serious, you know. Even though they should give it back anyways.
Right.
You know?
So they would have to prove claims. Same
Good,
way,
yeah.
right?
Even though they got it from illegal practices or whatever like that, mistake, you know, proving the claim is where it's gonna come down to, right? Is that more? You ready? Make your call. Call it up.
Stand up, Morris.
Right.
Facing east.
Yes, sir.
5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father, universe.
Allah, Father, the universe,
Fall of love.
Father of love,
Truth. Peace.
peace, freedom,
And justice.
and justice.
Allah, my protector.
Allah is my protector,
My guide.
my guide,
And my salvation.
and my salvation.
By night.
By night
And by day.
and by day,
Is it only prophet?
to his holy prophet,
Noah Jali.
Noble Jali,
Islam.
Islam. Give thanks, man.
Afterwards, afterwards, seems a little different. So now it's like,
How are you, sir?
Everything good. How you doing? You alright?
Yes, I'm fine. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, I see you got here early today.
Yes, but I
You
left
left
for
out-
about 10 o'clock this morning. Had a meeting in town. I was